All right, everyone. Welcome into Florida State Seminoles Live on a Tuesday night at 7 o'clock Eastern Time. And we are still hoping that the countdown clock will be accurate. We are now at a very even 150 days to August 29th and the opening of the college football season. Got Jason Parker on the line. Jason, how you doing tonight?
Not gonna lie, I'm standing up tonight. I've been sitting down all day here at the home offices of NBC6 here in South Florida. It's we're getting a little worried down here. Not gonna lie, it's starting to get real. I think people are finally starting to take this thing seriously that we've been talking about now for, it's only been a month, but it feels like it's been a lot longer than a month. And I think there's a good thing that people are starting to take it a little bit more seriously, but there's also a long way we need to go. And I think there's some people need to realize we're not out of this for a while.
I think what people are starting to realize is that cold hard statistics get people's attention. And because the statistics continue to rise and the numbers continue to rise, and they're seeing the massive response, both federally and state to state, but need to understand that this response, it is a heroic effort by many people out there, just the people on the ground I'm talking about in particular, not necessarily crediting people in government, but certainly heroic efforts by our medical people and other staff out there doing just a fabulous job. But the numbers will not subside for a period of time. That's just the way it is. So even though, depending on your outlook, some feel as though the effort and the response has been good, others that it's been lagged. We could debate that all night, but in regards to the efforts out there, they're tremendous. But the numbers are still ascending. That doesn't mean it's not being effectively responded to, but the numbers will continue to ascend for a while.
Yeah, and I think people need to realize, which we talked a little bit about this off camera, both what's going on at ESPN, what's going on at my station down here. The reality is we're being told at our different places, be prepared for at least as much as 2 months. I've been told 8 to 12 weeks where we could be working from home, stay away. Obviously, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis putting more extensive measures down here in South Florida. It could end up being measures for the entire state of Florida by the time it's all said and done. I think what you hit the nail on the head. This is getting real. We have not even hit the high point yet. We haven't even hit the peak of the mountain before we can even start to think about going downhill. And obviously, all of us in the FSU football fan base, that makes us wonder, will there be a football season? And we'll talk about that today with Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football.
And speaking of which, we've got a few offbeat questions. One very theoretical that cannot, this is often fantasy land, but another one that is true to life, real to life in terms of measuring people's sports fandom and the incredible lengths and the ridiculous lengths that we've gone to at times to see a game. Before we get to that, we will dive into the Florida State football aspect of this before we start running off into others. And of course, you've got comments and questions, leave them in the live chat, and Jason and I will address them.
And the most important question.
Yep.
Will Logan Robinson show up before 8 o'clock?
We should take an over-under on that. Are we talking about will he get here before just the end of the show?
Over-under is 7:30.
Oh, I'm going to say over, meaning past 7:30. Past 7:30. I'm sorry. Don't have a whole lot of faith in Logan based on his comment that he made to us.
So you're taking the over?
I'm taking the over.
Okay, I'll take the under.
I would love to see the under. I want to see the under. I'm rooting for the under.
Right. Logan, get here before 7:30 if you're listening.
As we, I believe, mentioned last week, we took a poll on Twitter, so please follow me on Twitter. Jason as well. Took a poll on Twitter whether Florida State fans are happy, in favor, a better term there, in favor of the Mike Norvell hire, which, of course, he has yet to lose a game. So we'll see what happens based on next season's standings if we get to hit the field. 559 votes in, 83% affirmative for the Mike Norvell hire.
And as somebody who according to some of your viewers here, have apparently I've done nothing but bash Mike Norvell. I didn't know that I did that, but apparently I've been doing nothing but bashing Mike Norvell. I voted in favor. I am in favor of the Mike Norvell move. I think he will. I think the pieces are there for him to be a successful coach. I know you and Logan have kind of been against Willie Taggart the way I was against Jimbo Fisher. I think Willie has left the table a lot better for Mike Norvell than what Jimbo Fisher left for Willie Taggart. People are going to disagree with that. That's fine. I think that the table is set for Mike Norvell to have a more decent run in 2020 than what Willie Taggart had to work with in 2018. So that's why I'm in favor of it. But like you said, I feel like if we're going to talk a little about this with the question you asked about which running back got the most yards, I feel like there's a lot of people who are still just all of a sudden in la-la land about thinking Mike Norvell, he's did all these great things at Memphis, he did all these great things at Memphis, it's going to come over to Florida State. That doesn't mean that he's going to come over here and immediately be a 10, 11-win coach. If he can go out and God comes down and says, I'll give you an 8-4 regular season, I'll take that. And I think we need to realize go with lesser expectations early on and hope that he can build from there. Because I think, like we've said before, that was our problem with Willie Taggart. We were so mad about the way Jimbo Fisher left that we said, Willie, you're going to win 11 games. You're going to beat Clemson. You're going to go to the ACC championship. We're going to go to the Orange Bowl. We're going to do all these great things. And we set ourselves up for disaster. So I think we all just need to chill with Mike Norvell this time around.
Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. We talk Florida State each Tuesday night. Yes, Tuesday night at 7 o'clock Eastern time. We've got Jason Parker on the line from NBC6. We've got Logan Robinson typically with us from Nole Game Day, and the over-under is 7:30 in terms of what time Logan will join us.
Can we just say real quick, and for our viewers here at home watching this, I remember 3 weeks ago we were talking about football, spring football starting, Florida State playing basketball in the ACC championship, and now we're all locked in our houses. If you don't take this moment to treasure the time you have because you never know when you're going to be quarantined eating animal crackers for lunch. That may have been my lunch today. Package of animal crackers at home. I'm not proud of myself.
And this is the sacrifice we're being asked to make as opposed to the Greatest Generation, which, of course, they were sending housewives out to, hangars to weld together airplanes. And
it is funny to watch. I'm in my mid-30s. To watch from my age and younger absolutely freak out about this whole thing and not realize what the people who were my grandparents' age and whatnot, realizing what they went through in the 20s, the 30s, and the 40s. It is kind of funny to see, funny and sad also at the same time, to see how my generation and the younger generations are freaking out about this whole thing. You have to stay in your house. You can go out, you can go walk around. What, you can't go to the mall? What, you can't go shopping? You can't go to the strip club? You can take a break for a few weeks. It's going to be okay. Your bank account will thank you later. Trust me.
Yeah, and the bank account may have to take a bit of a hit anyway, unfortunately, for many people out there. So our other poll question, in which we asked both on my YouTube channel front page, which albeit I just put it out there 42 minutes ago, so we've got 9 votes in, but we also have another 90-some votes in off of Twitter. So based on the acquisition of Jashaun Corbin off the transfer portal, or actually a graduate transfer from Texas A&M here recently, asked who will lead Florida State in rushing. Our results to date: Corbin at 65, Kalen Laburn at 30, Lawrence Tofafili
Good
at
job.
2, and LaDamian Webb at 2.
Good job. Well, yeah, for the record, Corbin was not a grad transfer. He just transferred and got his eligibility real quick, but he is not a grad transfer. No. But this surprises me, and we talked about this a little bit. I couldn't disagree with this more, and that's nothing against Jashaun Corbin at all, because I think he has the potential to do good things. But I also have not seen him yet. We have not seen him yet in the Mike Norvell offense. I feel like this is the same way as people are automatically praising Mike Norvell without seeing him. People are praising Jashaun Corbin without seeing him yet in the Florida State offense. Kalen Laburn has been at Florida State now for a few years. He's not been in the Mike Norvell offense, so we also have not seen him in this. But he at least knows what it's like to play in the lights. Doug Campbell. He knows what it's like to put on that helmet. He knows what it's like to have the expectations of being a Florida State Seminole. Jashaun Corbin doesn't have that yet. So that's why I'm a little bit hesitant to say that I think Jashaun Corbin will lead in rushing. I think it's going to all depend on the West Virginia game. I think right now, if the West Virginia game was taking place right now, I think Laburn would be the starting running back But that's going to be the question. Can he hold up for an entire season? Will Mike Norvell, will Kenny Dillingham as the offensive coordinator, will they go with the 2 running back set, kind of in the same way Jimbo Fisher did when he had Carlos Williams, when he had Devontae Freeman, when he had James Wilder during the 2013 title season? So that's going to be the question right there. So if you're asking me, who do I think will have the most rushing yards? I think it's going to be Laybourne at this point, but to be determined. Like the season, will it happen? Who will have the most yards? I think that's we're going to see what happens in that West Virginia game.
So again, folks, it's not too late to jump on my YouTube channel front page. Yes. And take part in the poll. Also on Twitter at Mark Rogers TV, who will lead Florida State in rushing. There's a number of other polls that we've released recently on Twitter. The last one being, and you can chime in on this one, Jason, I asked, excluding the teams that have already won a national championship during the playoff era, which of course there's only been 4 schools, that being Alabama, Clemson, Ohio State, and LSU, exclude them, who will be the next team other than those 4 to win a national championship?
And I voted in your poll, so let's play a game. Give me the 4 options, and then you tell me who you think I voted for.
I will let everyone know, and this is full disclosure, that I forgot about Georgia. So I'm just throwing a poll out there. Boom, boom, boom. I think across the nation real quick, and I go, okay, I can consider Michigan and Texas and Auburn and a few other teams that were left out of the poll, but you only get 4 spots on Twitter. So I thought I want to spread it around the nation, number one. So I thought SEC. And again, I would have gone with Georgia, but I went with Florida. I went with Oregon, Oklahoma, and also Notre Dame. Yes, I thought about Penn State, thought about some others. But I went with those 4, but I also left it open for people to give their write-in ballots, which of course people don't do. And the issue with what happened here, and I'm thankful for my Florida friends who retweeted, most notably David Waters of Gators Breakdown, that brought in almost 2,000 votes on this poll. But you can expect the results to be what they were. Because of that, it's like 89% Florida. I am guessing that out of those 4 choices, so you didn't write a team in, correct, Jason? You did not.
Did not.
I am going to say that you voted for Oklahoma.
You nailed it. I did vote for Oklahoma. There was no way in hell I was going to vote for Florida, and you knew that the second you asked that question. And Oregon, I'm still pissed about that Rose Bowl, so that wasn't happening either. And we talked about my hatred of Notre Dame from about 25 years ago, so that's moving on. But on a serious note, I do think Oklahoma, if you're talking about just it will be the first one to win a national title, I do think it is going to be Oklahoma, because I think what Lincoln Riley is doing there as head coach, what's up, Nick Kingston, I do think that Lincoln Riley is setting it up to take that next step. I think he just ran into a buzzsaw this year with LSU. And I think he's, ran the year before it was against Alabama. The problem is he keeps playing these SEC power teams who are just amazing. If he can get a decent semifinal spot, and that's going to come with being a number 1 seed or being a number 2 seed, then he can get to that championship game. And I think in a championship game, anything can go. I do understand why there's the sexiness, and this hurts to say, but right now the Florida Gators are the sexy pick amongst college football fans, amongst college football, just the casual fans, and amongst the diehards, because of the fact that Dan Mullen has come in there and in 2 seasons in Gainesville has led them to double-digit win seasons both times, looked damn good at the Peach Bowl to end the 2018 season beating Michigan, comes back this season, beats the hell out of Virginia in the Orange Bowl, beats the hell out of us in Gainesville, beats Miami to start the season, and his only 2 losses were to LSU and Georgia, who are arguably 2 of the top 5 teams in the country. That's a hell of a resume in his first 2 seasons. So the sexy pick is Florida. I think Florida's biggest problem is their schedule, is the fact that they don't give up LSU every year. They don't give up Georgia every year. We sit here and call being an eternal optimist. If Florida State gets better, you're going to have to play Florida State every year. That's potential of 3 losses every season. So I feel like it's stacked against him at this point, as opposed to Oklahoma, which right now you could argue after Texas, there's nobody really on their schedule who you could say is a bona fide challenge to them entering the 2020 season.
So what Jason's saying here, and I'll extend the point, is for Florida, they always play LSU. So take it in the ACC and the SEC in particular, they have a common opponent, a non-division rival.
Well, Florida State and Miami. To translate for Florida State,
Sure.
how Miami is in the other division. How we are required. We play Miami every single year. That's our one divisional opponent from the other side. Florida and LSU is the East-West game every year.
So if you play in the SEC or the ACC, you've got to play everyone in your division. That's another 6 games. You play 2 teams in the other division. One is set. That's your set rival, but then the other game rotates. And so Florida, they're always going to have to play LSU. And then the other game's going to rotate typically to a good team in Auburn and Alabama. You may have to play Alabama and LSU some years. You do every 6 years. Sometimes it'll rotate down to an Ole Miss or an Arkansas. But there's a guaranteed difficult game. The Georgia game, to your point, and then an SEC championship game. So it's always Georgia, LSU, and an SEC championship game against Auburn, LSU, Alabama. So it's a very difficult 3 games right out of the gate, not even taking into consideration if South Carolina is good or Kentucky or anybody else is good. And if they schedule somebody aside from Florida State, which they have at times, Michigan a couple of years ago, out of conference. So it's not just an evaluation of how good the team or the program is or the coach, but how easy is the path. But I think there's 2 layers here, Jason. There's one, how difficult is it to get to the playoff? And to your point, it's easier for Oklahoma and for Oregon, the way things stack up right now in the Pac-12. But I think it's a heavy lift for those teams once they get to the playoff to win 2 games against the likes of Alabama, Clemson, Ohio State, Georgia, whomever they have to run into. 2 games.
I agree with that, but my point is also it's getting there. It's just you have to be amongst those 4, and then it's anything can happen. I mean, honestly, I thought that Ohio State would
I don't think anything can happen.
I thought Ohio State would beat Clemson this year in the semifinal game.
Well, they could have.
Maybe
but there's no way in hell Washington's beating Alabama in 2016 or Michigan State's beating Alabama in 20. There's a clear separation almost every year in the playoff within the 4 teams of the elite and a team or 2 that just made it.
I'd like to point out that I was about to bash the Buckeyes and then you just transitioned right there. That was solid. That's why you're Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. You saw the transition. You saw me going after your Buckeyes and you transitioned right there. That's
veered on.
Very well played right there. But I think that's my point is that you've got a Florida team. Would you say right now that, let's say, Florida at 10-2 was better than Oklahoma at, I believe they were 12-1? They were 12-1 entering the playoff.
Yes.
So would you say that Florida was a 10-2 with a better team than an Oklahoma team this past season?
I would have taken Florida in a head-to-head matchup. It would have been a close call, and I would have argued. I would have certainly understood the argument on the other side, but I'm more of a defensive SEC guy. I trust the SEC, and I trust defense. I would have gone Florida.
And just to point out, I'm looking at their schedules right now. This season, Florida's other SEC West game is Ole Miss on the road. In 2021, they play Alabama. Looking real quick, in 2022, pull up here, they're playing. It's Texas A&M in Texas A&M. So yeah, it's a tough stretch. It can be done. It can be worked with, but it's a tough stretch. And, I know that we're supposed to bash the SEC, but I give them credit. Right now, they are the toughest up and down conference right now at this point.
Think about the one game that we've got to go on, and it's only one game, and one was played in a playoff on a neutral site, and the other was played in Death Valley. But it's what we've got to go on. Florida played LSU very tough, had a lead in the second half, lost by 2 touchdowns in a shootout, 42-28. LSU throttled Oklahoma.
The LSU game didn't bother me as much because I think LSU was just an LSU team this year that was just game busters. They were a great football team this season. They were up there with 2001 Miami, 2013 FSU, 1995 Nebraska. They were up there with one of the better teams of all time. For me, the disappointing game why Florida didn't deserve was the loss to Georgia. And that's not a knock against Georgia. Georgia's a very good team. Georgia had a phenomenal 2019 season. But the fact that Florida still has not gotten past Georgia, I think that's the step one for Florida. If you're Florida, you can lose to an LSU team. You can lose to Alabama in 2021 and still be fine. You have to get past Georgia. You have to win the SEC East. It's not like the SEC East of the 90s and the early 2000s which was far and away the better division of the two. Now it's the weaker division in the SEC, and if you can't win that, you don't even deserve to be in the conversation for one of the 4 playoff spots.
Broken E36, we thank you so much for the super chat contribution. Finally caught you guys live again.
So that's $9.99. That goes towards the sheet cake for my 50-second show.
That's it.
I would hope you'd spend more than that, but okay.
Oh, we will.
I mean, you got to
more than that. Yeah, that's just a contribution. Broken E36, if you can do that now for the next maybe 7 weeks, that would be 7 times 10, $70. We could really give Jason a tremendous 52-week celebration.
Are we really going to Chuck E. Cheese? Please tell me we're going to Chuck E. Cheese.
There is some discussion here in the live chat, Jason, about whether the spear or the shovel's in the back. Okay, we've got a glimpse of it. We're good.
I set up here. I'm standing up, obviously, because I'm working from home now. NBC6 has us working from home, and I've been sitting on my butt all day. So I'm standing up for this week's episode of Mark Rogers TV, The West of College Football. But the spear, I made sure to set it up so the spear was in the view. Sorry, I'm just fat and I'm in the way, but I'll stand over here.
Recruiting continues out there, but of course it's limited. No face-to-face visits, of course, but we still have FaceTime and texting and all those things to connect with people. Redbeard40 is asking, do we think ending the recruitment visit early helps Florida State with any big-time recruits, meaning FSU being their visit and not going to the other schools help us in the long run?
No, I'm going to say no. I'm going to say yes and no. So let me ride the fence on that one. I'm going to say yes because I think Florida State doesn't have a chance to be out-recruited. They don't have a chance for these recruits to go to Florida State one week, the next week go to Miami, next week go to Florida, next week go to Georgia, and basically be out-recruited by these other schools. So I think that's a good thing that the recruiting period ended early. But I also think it's a bad thing because not just do you lose a chance to bring recruits onto campus, see what's going on with the program, see what's going on with Coach Norvell, see what's going on with the program in general, but you also don't have a chance to show what's going on in spring football. You don't have a chance to see, James Blackman, is he improving? Is Jordan Travis improving? Is the running game going to be okay? How's the defense going to do? You don't have a chance to see that right now, and you don't have a chance to show recruits, hey, here's what we're doing, here's our game plan and whatnot. And it's not just, hey, we can show you anything on a board, anything on a presentation, but here's the product on the field. Not being able to have that is what hurts. And I think that's why I would say it's not a good thing for FSU at this point.
Thank you so much, Redbeard. Mark Rogers, the voice of college football. Tuesday night, Florida State is a saving grace during these tough, sportless times. Hit that like button to keep it going. We may actually even have to have Jason fill in for Logan in regards to going on his soapbox for likes. So think about what you're going to say. Think about the delivery. You've got some time, Jason, to work up to it.
What time do we have to do that?
I think we'll do that about 7:40.
7:40.
You got about 15 minutes to really ponder that.
I'm going to write this down. Hold on.
Okay, Jason's going to work on that. We've been on him for a while because I think I've sent him into a bit of a frenzy. He's a bit anxious about this. He doesn't do a whole lot of talking, as you can see. He's a bit timid.
Very shy.
He doesn't know if he can deliver this.
Very shy. Very shy.
Folks, we talk Florida State football every Tuesday night. You can count on it. 7 o'clock Eastern time for 45 consecutive weeks. Florida State football talk. So bring in the friends, bring in the family, Florida State fans, college football fans. As you can see in the live chat, we've got fan bases represented across the board.
I do also want to give a shout out real quick.
Yep.
Because I got free swag when I went down to Key West. Just a shout out here, Blue Heaven. Blue Heaven is a great breakfast place in Key West. If you ever go down to Key West, go to Blue Heaven. Get the lobster Benedict. It's the BLT Benedict, bacon, lobster, and tomato. I get it without tomato. But it's a Benedict with lobster. It's absolutely the greatest thing you'll ever have. And get the banana bread. It doesn't have nuts in it. I hate nuts in my banana bread. It's delicious. I promise you, it's the best breakfast you'll ever have.
I can go with her without the nuts in my banana bread.
100%.
But Mom makes some great banana bread. There's no question about that. So you can always put the bananas to use, even if they get a little old. Make some good banana bread. Do you put butter on the banana bread or anything else? You can just eat it straight.
It's so soft that I cut it. I had a piece for breakfast every single day this week. Cut it up into a little piece. It's delicious. And the lobster, they put the lobster, they put the bacon, then the lobster, then the sauce on top of it. Little A. I promise you.
I have to find my way to Key West sometime.
I'm telling you,
I've got to be able to make that trip.
you need to.
I'm certainly not going to make it in the next 6 or 7 months. I got to wait for the death of winter because I'm not the guy that takes a summer trip to another warm location. I'm not that guy. I like to take my trips during the winter to escape the winter and go to the nice locales.
Here's what we're going to do. If you plan a trip to Key West, we will do Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football, live from Key West.
Oh, that would be phenomenal.
We will do it live from Key West. We'll go to a great seafood place. But it's phenomenal. We got this.
Tremendous.
This is
it would be tremendous. Some folks are having fun with Willie Taggart, led by SEC Dog. There's been some back and forth about Willie Taggart. I have no idea what he's alluding to. I don't know if this is an actual situation. I know he did not lose a game 52-0. So this is just kind of a.
And he didn't lose the game 52-3 either. So good try, SEC Dog. Good job. Good effort.
But since we're there, Jason,
you beat Baylor. Congratulations.
We need you to outline the inner workings of this contract situation with Willie Taggart, the buyout, and how that's impacted Florida State.
So obviously right now Florida State's not getting any money for the spring game. They've pushed back the deadline for purchasing season tickets from, it was supposed to be tomorrow, April 1st. Now it's May 1st. So for those of us who paid off our season tickets in January, we paid them off way too quickly, which is why also news today they're going to electronic tickets. So make sure you have a good smartphone for the coming season. But right now, that's the situation. Is they're having to pay this buyout money to Willie Taggart. That right now there's no money coming in. So this is going to be a serious financial question for the Seminoles, and that's why I think the 2020 season is going to be so important. Because if Florida State can go 9-3, let's just say in a perfect world 9-3, 10-2 in the coming season, and you've got 70,000, 75,000 people inside Joe Campbell Stadium, that's great. That's phenomenal. If they're a 6-6 team, if they're a 7-5 team, you've only got 55,000 people in there, that's where the problem is going to come. So that's why this is going to be so important. That's why this season just became even more important. Obviously, you can't control what happens in this world as far as all this medical stuff with coronavirus, but it is a fact of the matter. And so the question comes up, should Florida State have kept Willie Taggart for at least another season? Because if they had kept him for the season, the buyout would have been much different. I don't think you should have. Obviously, the Miami game, it is what it was last season. The writing was on the wall at that point. But it does bring up a question. How much will Florida State be in the red for having to pay Willie Taggart the rest of his buyout for the upcoming seasons?
Jason, I don't think I've ever framed the Willie Taggart situation like this. So let me ask it like this. Forget the fans. Forget the media and fan pressure to fire him. Forget all of that. Just look at football performance on the field and what you expected based on the issues that he was dealt and were laid at his feet when he started, that you've outlined, what your expectations are of the program, all those ingredients put together, the talent on the roster. At what point would you have said, okay, enough's enough?
My thing with the whole situation is this. The media member who's covered Florida State football since 2004, who's covered college football ever since that time period, knows why Willie Taggart got fired. Willie Taggart got fired because Florida State got blown out by Miami, a Miami team that, as we saw by losing their last 3 games of the season, was arguably one of the worst teams in the ACC at the end of the season, without a doubt. That's why Willie Taggart got fired. Because I think even with Willie Taggart as head coach, I think they beat Boston College. I think they beat Alabama State. And I think they lose to Florida. So if he loses, let's say, 17-14 to Miami, still keeps his job, I think Florida State still finishes that season 6-6. I think the question for me is, why are you firing him without giving him even 2 full seasons? I feel like that's been my whole beef for this whole thing. It's not so much that Willie Taggart got fired, because I understand why he got fired. My question is, why are you firing him without even finishing 2 full seasons? And that's why I feel like there was something behind the scenes that Florida State, that some fans, some members of the football family don't want to admit was going on. But I think that's why Willie Taggart did get fired. And I don't think that's fair to him.
So let me ask it this way. After starting So I'm guessing the 5-7 would have provided you as an evaluator. Let's say you're the one making the call. Willie Taggart's job is in your hands, and you've dismissed the 5-7. It was what it was. Okay, let's move on to year 2 and adjust my expectations from here. At the point in which he was fired, he was 4-5. So the best they could have done was finish 7-5. We'll never know what would have happened had Willie Taggart stayed. But we can reasonably assess that they would have lost the Florida game and probably finished 6-6, which they did. So would that have caused you to fire Willie Taggart?
No.
That record, that finish?
No, because I think it's hard for me to say you should fire somebody with a 500 season or better. I understand the expectations. I understand the unreasonable expectations of a decent amount of the FSU fan base based on the 1990s, based on the 2013 national title season. I get it. I understand it. There's a lot of fans who don't want to admit that we've gone downhill this quickly. But you have to understand where we are. You have to understand the dumpster fire that Jimbo left Willie to deal with when Willie took over before the 2018 season. With that fact, if you're telling me Florida State finishes the season 6-6, they're going to the Sun Bowl, they're playing Arizona State, do I fire Willie Taggart? No, I do not. If Florida State loses to Arizona State, let's say, 20-14, like they did, in the Sun Bowl, finishes the season 6-7. I'm still going to say no, you don't fire him because he went to a bowl game, because he had a better record than the season before. With that being said, I feel like 2 seasons is enough to where if you get to the point in the 2020 season, and let's say after the Clemson game, which is the 5th game of the season, he's 2-3. Let's say he's lost to Clemson, lost to NC State, and lost to Boise State. Let's say he's lost those 3 games in a row right there. Then I think you could understandably fire him because then you've given him enough time. He's in a 3rd season by that point. I feel like not even giving him 2 seasons. And for the record, I would say the same thing if it's Jimbo Fisher. I would say the same thing Mike Norvell. I would say the same thing Bobby Bowden, any coach. This was not just about Willie Taggart. This was any coach in general. It's not fair to only give a coach 2 seasons, not even 2 seasons before you fire him. I understand why. I feel like there was the added pressure of him being the first full-time black head coach of the program, added to the additional, I don't want to use the word hatred, but the additional pressure that some of the fans and some of the boosters and some of the administrators put on him. I do think if Willie Taggart was right, he would have coached 2 full seasons. That's just my personal opinion. That's just my opinion in talking to several boosters who have expressed that same sentiment and expressed the same feeling both for it and against it. I don't think that's the fair thing that you should do. I don't think color should matter, but I think in this situation it did. And I think that's why he only got less than 2 seasons to coach.
Jason, we've got 53 on the line, and I widen the shout out to include just myself because I'm highlighting Kyle Pickett's comment. Mark, I want some of that wallpaper. So this is actually a banner. It's called a step and repeat banner. Just thought I'd mix things up and give it a shot and see what it looked like. And so we ordered this baby right here with our logo, the voice of college football. And Kyle's wanting some of that for his home.
Why is it called a step and repeat? Please explain this to us here, sir.
Well, that's just so we see this commonly in news conference settings, as you well know, whether that's a logo of a team or a logo of a brand that obviously purchased and sponsored the particular team in some fashion, and it's just called step and repeat. That's just what it's called. It's obviously a logo that's repeated over and over.
No, it's called step and repeat. It's because models, they come up and they do the step.
Oh, the step and the repeat. Yeah. So you're explaining it. So you're asking me, thinking that I remember, but I do recall hearing that. Yes.
I wanted you to step and repeat and show us how models do it. I want you to model your modeling board.
Yeah. I was more taking the angle that since Kyle wants some of that for wallpaper, that we start to place that up and we can sell that or something.
Kyle, how should we put this nicely? Money talks. If you donate enough money to Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football, I think we can arrange something. That's all I'm saying.
So this thing cost me, I will say it out there. So this cost me like $250 for this thing and the polls and the whole deal. So yeah, if we can get that paid for, that would be tremendous. That'd be
You
tremendous.
paid $250 for that?
Yeah, that's pretty.
I got a guy in Hialeah who done it.
It's 6 feet by 4 feet, and it's got poles and the whole deal. And I ordered the extra tough and quality fabric.
There's a guy in Hialeah who would have done it for $20 in a grilled cheese sandwich. I could have gotten it for you.
Okay, well, I'll hit you up for that next time. And again, when you're watching these news conferences each and every day, and we're staying away from the politics end of it, but just the news conferences themselves concerning the COVID-19, and then there's the Mike Pence portion. Kyle is just envisioning me standing there delivering the Mike Pence portion of that, Mark Rogers for VP 2020. So just insert me in place of Pence.
Nope, still won't go for you.
Okay.
I like you personally. You're a good guy. I want to have seafood dinner with you. Take you in Key West, do a live show with you in Key West. Can't vote for you.
I heard, and we're not going to go there in regards again to politics, but I heard the same comment made recently, and I've got a very liberal friend who makes the same comment about George W. Bush. He says, man, I would love to have a beer with the guy. The guy seems like a great guy, down-home guy, just a tremendous guy. Hated him as a president.
That was me. I think I said that to you.
I have another friend that definitely said that to me.
You have two liberal friends? Hot damn. We're still it every day here on Mark Rogers TV.
I think I have more liberal friends than I have conservative friends, actually.
You are in the tri-state area, so you should.
I'm just out there. I'm a friend of the masses. Yeah. I'm just a friendly guy.
SEC Dog loves you. He's giving you some love here.
Great show as usual. Thank you. Not giving any credit to Jason, who's the one supplying most of the...
I'm mad because I ripped him for them finally winning a Sugar Bowl. Congratulations. You beat a second-rate Big 12 team in Baylor. Congratulations.
A number of college football people have, because of the severity of this issue and because the numbers continue to rise, have thought about, okay, we will not have an NBA season, most likely. We'll see. I shouldn't even throw that out there. It's highly in question right now. The baseball season obviously has not been able to start. College football is why we're here and what we talk about each week. So that's our focus. So will we have a college football season? Well, we've had a number of national analysts actually say, I don't think there's going to be a college football season.
Well, as a national analyst here on Mark Rogers TV, I'm
international is
actually known to rock the microphone here every Tuesday at 7 o'clock. It's interesting for me because using the current sports, for example, and you mentioned that you've got the NBA. Well, I don't think the NBA is going to have a season of playoffs or whatnot. You've got the NHL. I think we're not going to have a Stanley Cup playoff, which sucks because I think the Stanley Cup playoffs are the best playoffs in all of sports. You've got the MLS, which somehow believes that they're going to play their entire season. They believe that they're going to play every single game once they start. They're already talking about starting as early as May 12th. I'm trying to figure out when that's going to happen down here in Miami if we're still quarantined and the one team is playing in a stadium that's maybe 10 miles away from where I'm talking to you right now. I do think we.
May I interrupt to ask you who threw that date out? May 12th for Major League Baseball?
No, Major League Soccer.
Oh, Major League Soccer.
I like to call it minor league soccer, but yeah, Major League Baseball. Right. Major League Baseball might start in June. Who knows at this point?
Yeah.
To answer Joseph's question, just real quick side note: not all the money. FAU's taking some of it, but not all of it. And the thing is, it would have been fine had there been spring football. Had everything been normal, everything would have been fine. But with this monkey wrench being thrown in, it's going to raise a problem. So that's where it comes from there. To answer your question, going back to do I think we'll have football? If you're asking me right now, yes. I think we will have a football season because I think by May, hearing what we're talking about, hearing the health experts, I think by May, beginning of June, we're going to hit that peak and start to be coming down from that point. Now, it all relies on one thing. Everyone needs to act right, okay? And we talked about this earlier, and there's some people who still think it's a joke. It's not a joke, okay? I'm going to get a little personal for a minute. I got a almost 71-year-old father who, is not in the best medical health, who if he gets it, I'm really concerned. I'm I can't go big deer him because this is going on right now. So I think if people take this seriously, I think we definitely will have football. I think the sooner you see that peak and we start to see it coming downhill, we start to see the number of deaths go down as far as being reported each day and whatnot, I think we'll be fine. As of right now, I understand where the concern comes from, but I think with 5 months to go, I think we're going to be okay. If we're where we are right now on May 31st, then I think we seriously might not have a season.
I've reminded people that have asked me in recent weeks that college football in particular has not always been played in this hyper intense, almost treated like a profession type of mode where these kids are lifting weights, running, going to film sessions, having individual workouts, having team unit workouts the entire year. This is a new format. This is a new demand that has been placed on these athletes, and it's obviously been gradual through the years as it's become more and more of a business, and the coaches and the athletic programs have pushed and pushed and pushed for extended time with these athletes. But all the planning off the field can be done virtually, and I'm sure is being done. Coaches and coaching staffs are getting together. They're getting together with their athletes online to make sure that they're eating the right things, that they're at least working out. And none of that replaces on the field preparation. But what it speaks to is, I believe that we could get to a point where no one is allowed on a field together, or those are the guidelines. Obviously, people are doing whatever they want, but the guidelines would say, even if that led us up to the first week of August and nothing could be done on the field until August 1st, we could still have a full football season, because all the planning, all that needed to be done other than actually practicing on the field can be done up until that point. So they could still have a full August camp and get ready for a football season. Spring practice, to a certain extent, is a luxury.
And we in the media started talking about coronavirus as early as like right after the Super Bowl. So kind of like towards the beginning to middle of February. So these teams had a whole month to sort of come up with a plan of, okay, what happens if the worst case scenario happens? And the worst case scenario did happen. And let's be honest, we've had games that have been moved. Obviously, Florida State lost the Louisiana Monroe game in 2017 because of Hurricane Irma. They got moved to the end of the season. There were games that got moved to the end of the season in 2001 because of the tragedy on 9/11. So things have happened. But there has not been a full season that's been lost for many programs since World War II. We talked about that greatest generation. That was the last time that many programs had to go an entire season without football. I think the biggest question is, and you're right, even if we don't even get teams together until August 1st, you still have time to get things done. That's fine. The opposite side of that is, how much do you really want to play a football season if, and I'm just saying the worst case scenario, thousands and thousands and thousands of people are dead. 1,500 people have already died in the New York, New Jersey, Connecticut area alone from this, just in the last month. So, and that's what I'm saying. That's what I think people don't realize. This thing has only been monitored here in the United States for a month. And the numbers here are staggering for what we've seen for 1 month. So I think that's the biggest worry is, what happens? We're at 3,700 dead right now in 1 month. What happens? And we haven't even hit our peak yet. So what happens if it comes to August 1st, and I'm just using a worst case scenario, you have 70,000 people who are dead, 80,000 people who are dead. Do you really want to still play a college football season? There's going to be a lot of people who are going to say, yes, I still want to play football. Is your mindset going to be there if you've lost a family member, if you've lost a grandmother, if you've lost an uncle, an aunt, someone close to you that you knew who died of this virus? That's why I think it's too early to tell. If we are still in this concern mode come June 1st, July 1st, then yes, I would say cancel the season. Kirk Herbstreit's right, cancel the season. If things start to get better, and that's why I need to start. By June 1st, I need to see things starting to get better, starting to get more optimistic. Then I'll be fine. But you know what will help make things optimistic? Hitting the like button here on Mark Rogers TV. If you hit that like button, good things are going to happen to you. You're going to get the best sports coverage from Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football, from Jason Parker, the voice of FSU football, from Logan Robinson, the sometimes sober other voice of Florida State football. You will get all the information you need. In the words of the immortal Derwin James and Jalen Ramsey, what are you doing? If you are not choosing to hit the like button, what are you doing? Is that good?
Well done, Jason. Logan might be out of a job.
Logan might have forgotten to log in. I mean,
We may have to, he may have. He may not have been. This may have been one of those less than sober days for him, possibly.
I mean, I don't think they're on a quarantine in Tallahassee, Leon County.
We might have to have a playoff between you and Logan, alternate each week and see who delivers the hit the like button speech better.
Playoffs?
Yes.
Sorry, thought you'd pay attention. Okay.
It's just been overplayed, so I let it go.
Wow. He just called me overplayed, folks.
It's overplayed. It's overplayed. I'm glad that Cheryl recognizes that I'm doing everything I possibly can to bring us college football.
But then he's the prez, or he's the prez?
Mark is trying to bring us college football. He's the prez.
See, I thought it was
doing my best.
And you're the press.
Could go either way on that one. I don't know. I'm choosing the former. Okay.
Congratulations. You got a vote there from Cheryl. Cheryl's voting
for Cheryl, and of course Kyle's going to vote for me because he's campaigning. He's my campaign manager.
What do you
All right.
House related to?
Got a couple questions. I got a couple questions for College Football Nation out there, and Jason specifically, and Jason can get us going on this subject. So it flows right well with what we just discussed. If it would matter, what would be your sacrifice that you would be willing to make, whether that be give a large sum of money, give up something that holds near and dear to you? After you answer, I will let you know what other people have answered in recent days to guarantee college football is played in 2020. What would you be willing to do?
I would vote Mark Rogers as vice president. I'm a raging liberal. He's a little bit more on the right. I get it. I would swallow my pride if it guaranteed me a 2020 season.
You would just want it to be a Biden Rogers ticket.
I'd probably throw up afterwards, but yeah, I'd do it.
And if it is a Biden Rogers ticket,
oh hell yeah!
Oh boy, I was going to say something that I shouldn't say.
I'd give you my $1,200 surplus money that President Trump and his friends are sending me in a check.
I would be questioning the longevity of Biden for 8 years or even 4.
I don't think he makes it 8 years. I mean, I'm probably going to vote for him, but I still don't think he makes it.
So that's the one question, and anybody can leave their comments in the live chat.
I said that, SEC dog. I need you to pay attention, Chief. I said this 10 minutes ago.
And he also said it 18 minutes ago.
I said this.
So keep that in mind. Willie, our SEC dog, said it 18 minutes ago.
Listen, I like Georgia when you beat Florida. I do appreciate that. But
so, yes, Wayne, apparently we have to wait until fall to stop beating this Willie Taggart dead horse.
I told these gentlemen I will stop attacking Jimbo if they stop attacking Willie. I will defend Willie till the day I die because I think he got a bad rap. I've told these guys, let's do one show where we don't mention the names Jimbo Fisher, don't mention the names Willie Taggart. And these gentlemen can't do it, Wayne Tillman. I feel your pain.
I think it's reasonable that when you have the longest offseason of any sport, this is what we have in college football, and you just had a coach dismissed who just finished this past season, that you're going to discuss his performance. You've yet to play a game in the 2020 season following a 2019 in which Willie Taggart was the coach for most of the season.
So I'm going to ask you a question.
Yep.
Here you go. After 21 games as head coach, Mike Norvell is 9-12. Same record as Willie Taggart. Does he get fired?
Are you asking me, would I fire him or will he be fired?
Same standard. You're 0-3 against your rivals, your in-state rivals. You're 9-12 as a head coach. Literally the same exact. You're 9-12 through your first 21 games. Do you fire him?
I think that Florida State could win 9 of the next 21 games, go 9-12, and the performance on the field could be much better than what it was under Willie Taggart for 21 games. So to me, there's a difference in evaluating performance on the field. Yes, the record is all that matters in the long run, but in trying to evaluate how well the coach is performing and his team is performing, there can be a difference between 9-12 and 9-12. And that team for those 2 seasons, and especially the 2018 season at 5-7, that was awful.
So by that standard right there, by saying that the records are the same, you would say that 10-3 Florida State team in 2016 was just as good as any other 10-win program under Jimbo Fisher.
No.
Records are the same. So why would you say they're not the same record?
That you're backing up my point.
No.
I'm saying that not every team, if we took every team that went 8-4 in college football last year, do we think that they're all the same? No, they're not all the same.
What I think the problem is that by firing Willie Taggart through 21 games is I think you did start that slippery slope. I think Mike Norvell has now added pressure to where he has to win at least 8 games every season. He has to do a certain amount. And I think you should get 3 seasons as a coach. 3 seasons gives you long enough to where you get your freshman class in there for at least 3 seasons. That's my whole issue. Is I think that Willie Taggart should have gotten at least to start his 3rd season. And like I said, if he's 2-3 after the Clemson game, 1-4 after the Clemson game, fire his ass. I'm 100% behind it because you're in your 3rd season. I think to not even give him full 2 seasons was my whole problem. And I think by doing that, you almost have to fire Mike Norvell if he's 9-12. Because I'm sorry, you cannot have one rule for one coach and one rule for a different coach.
Well, they're not rules. They're judgment calls made by administrators, and every situation is different.
Wait, hold on. Abandoned ship or JP takes a left on Duval Street in Key West. First of all, the restaurant, Blue Heaven, you do have to make a left because it's more towards the Truman House. So that's where you want to go. You want to make a left. JD Dog is making a comment about certain establishments on Duval Street.
I figured.
That's where he was going with that because we have a typical some of our viewers here are still in high school, but that's fine. I support everyone's lifestyle.
Yes, we welcome all viewers.
All viewers.
As long as you hit the like button. All right.
What's your second question?
Oh, my second question was, so the first question again, hypothetical, toward the future, can't happen, but what would you give up or what would you pay to guarantee a 2020 football season? But the second question is based in reality, and that's, as we're all huge sports fans, I would hope to get responses toward college football, but we'll leave it open to any sporting event. What have you done to the extreme measure, whether that being paying a large sum of money or traveling all night, quitting a job, whatever you had to do to see a sporting event, whether that be live or on television?
So the Orange Bowl couldn't give me media credentials for family members for the FSU Michigan game and the 2016 season. So I spent a lot of money on tickets for that game. So that would be my one. I'm not going to give you the exact amount, but a lot of money was spent on tickets. Good tickets, but still a lot of money.
Okay. A lot of money for the Orange Bowl.
Like 4 digits before the decimal.
Okay. Was it worth it?
Hell yeah, we beat Michigan.
Okay.
Was it worth it? I mean, I know you rooted for FSU, right?
I have no comment in my rooting for that particular game.
It's not that we're mad, just disappointed.
Got a contribution coming in from Mike Williams. We'll get your super chat post to the screen here very soon. Mike Williams, thank you so much.
We have 3 minutes, so I'm going to ask you a question. Final of the night. and I'm going to let you give a chance to do it. You can either do it Florida State or Ohio State. We're all in quarantine mode here during this coronavirus.
We are.
Shout out to Mike Williams, even though you got a crappy logo as your icon, but congratulations. Thank you for
Thanks,
your
Mike. Contributing to the super chat as a Miami fan to the Florida State show. Mike, your first class.
Okay. We're all in quarantine mode. Who is the college football player from either Florida State or Ohio State or just in general? Who is the one player you would be willing to be quarantined with? And who is the one player you would stay the hell away from being quarantined with?
Well, I don't know these people as individuals. See, this is a severe hypothetical because I'm rating them basically based on how much I like them as football players. I've
got my answer. Would you like mine?
Sure. I want your answer.
So the one player I would love to be quarantined with is Deion Sanders, because I feel like if you're telling me for a month I got to listen to Deion talking, I feel like he's got enough stories that will keep me laughing, will keep me wondering.
I'd be thinking the opposite.
Will make me grow as a person. I feel like Deion would make me a better person. To stay away from Darnell Dockett, because Darnell Dockett, I went to school with him at FSU, and he was a crazy mofo. So staying as far away from him as humanly possible.
I am thinking that Deion Sanders would be entertaining for one night, but past that, he would drive me crazy. I wouldn't want to hear any more of his stupid stories. For a block of time.
30 days.
30 days of Deion Sanders.
So who are you going to say, Andy Katzenmoyer?
No, thank you. I'd rather take boring than obnoxious and annoying.
Then why have you brought me on 45 weeks? What's your answer?
What's my answer?
Yeah.
I don't have an answer.
I gave you an answer.
Here's a better question, at least for me, because that question, I want to be amongst family and friends for a quarantine, not some 50-year-old ex-football player.
You gave me hypotheticals. You gave you hypotheticals.
You have two people that you can have, whether you want to make it a lunch or have a beer with, whatever the setting, just to have a nice conversation, just find out all about them as a person, their profession, pick their brain kind of thing. You get two choices. One has to be a sports personality. The other one could be in any walk of life, past or present.
Sports personality would be Warwick Dunn. Former Florida State running back. Because I feel like Warwick Dunn has overcome so much in his life. I would love to ask him how he had the courage to forgive the man who killed his mother. Like just stuff like that, just being able to know not just about him as a football player, but also as a man. As a non-sports figure, and I don't want you to roll your eyes, but I'm going to tell you why. Barack Obama has nothing to do with his politics, has nothing to do with him being a Democrat or whatnot. It has to do with the fact that being elected in 2008, inaugurated in 2009, he was still encountering, obviously not to his face as much, but encountering a lot of the racism, a lot of the typical stereotypes that black men get. And it's almost sad to me that it was still happening. We're talking about as soon as 4 years ago. So I guess I would want to know how he was able to. I have a short fuse, so I don't understand how some people can overcome things. So I guess that's why I'd want to learn more about how he dealt with things. I feel like I could learn from both of them.
So we've got some responses in the live chat. We've got Joseph who would want to be quarantined with the greatest time, Bobby Bowden.
What about you?
Or what he considers the greatest of all time. And then we've got Snake Spencer 725, Joe Exotic, the best country singer.
Please watch. This is what we say before we go. Please watch Tiger King.
Which is about Tiger Woods, I assume.
No, it's not.
I've heard this reference like 10 times, and I don't even know what it's about.
Okay, real quickly before we go here, Tiger King, it's on Netflix. It's 7 episodes. They fly by. It's essentially about the exotic cat trade. It is essentially about Joe Exotic, who ran one in Oklahoma. There's a guy who ran one In South Carolina, there's a lady who runs one in Tampa who's now, apparently it's being investigated because she might have killed her husband. She might not have killed her husband. She might have fed him to a tiger. It is literally the biggest 7 episodes of white trash you have ever seen in your life. I will put it to you like this. The person who sits next to me at work, who's from the Chicago area, goes, "Oh my God, this is the weirdest show ever." I watched it and went, "Yep, that's Florida. It is Florida in a nutshell."
And I want to watch this. Why? I've heard rave reviews about it.
You will laugh your ass off, I promise you. Promise.
Clemson alum 98, please like. Don't let us distract you with the riveting conversation that was just so riveting that he forgot to like.
Well, they usually forget the last letter in Clemson. That's why it takes so long. They're like CLEMSO. Right. N. So it takes them a while. They're a little bit slower. It's fine. We let them.
I've got to have a conversation with my boy Elvis Presley because he's just the greatest of all time, and that's my man. And then my next conversation. Yeah, the greatest stage performer, singer, vocalist of all time. Got to have a conversation with him. He's just it. He is just the best. Nobody comes close. As I often leave a comment on many YouTube channels, no period, one period, comes period, close period, bam. That's end of story. And I don't know. Then I'm relegated to a sports figure for the other one because I would want to go historical former president, but I can't. So I go Tom Landry, greatest NFL coach of all time. There we go.
Really? Better than Shula? Better than Chuck Noll? Better than Lombardi?
Yeah. Well, we could have that discussion sometime.
I mean, you're wrong, but let's have that discussion.
Yeah. None of those guys developed a 4-3 defense or a shotgun offense. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for Florida State Seminoles Live, 7 o'clock Eastern time every Tuesday night. Jason, you did a amazing job tonight, despite your rolling of the eyes, even though I restrained from rolling my eyes to your answer. You certainly showed your disdain toward my answer.
The rolling of your eyes was saying that no one's developed an offense. I'm sorry. Let's look at Dan Marino and that Dolphins offense. That's Don Shula's work.
Yeah, that never won a Super Bowl. All right. Thank you so much.
You have no running game.
See everyone next time.